I took a little break. Had to do a 14-day quarantine. As the folks will probably remember, I have a place in Maui, and Cal and Jay have stayed with me many times, which really enjoyed their company. I got to know these two fine young men. First came aware of their podcast as I was listening to. I've been as you know, professional bowler, avid sports fan for many years, and started listening to their podcast. And then when I found out they'd be visiting the Maui area, I invited them to come by the place, and we've started a great friendship.
Yeah, we sure have, and we really appreciate your sponsorship. It's been keeping us going through these hard times with COVID. We've both been out of work, so really our podcast is the only thing keeping us afloat, and we really appreciate you guys, sponsoring us over at Sal Financial Advisory Services. And if you guys haven't, go check them out. The link's in the description below. Great financial advice, especially during the market volatility and the following uptick in the market. Sal Financial Advisory Services have just been phenomenal in their clairvoyance during this whole time.
I appreciate that. Well, Cal, why don't we go ahead and get started? I think people tuned in they want to hear our thoughts about these upcoming bubble playoffs in the NBA.
Yeah, I got to let me pull up the bracket real quick.
Okay, we'll do that. In the meantime, it's just a shame we don't have Jay with us. As I said, Jay was not able to come up here to Skyline College. This is a great little community up here. It's on the peninsula south of San Francisco. And we have some very hot temperatures in the South Bay where Cal and Jay are headquartered. So we decided to relocate up here, and right now current temperatures around 79. It was 105 degrees Fahrenheit when we left our headquarters, and now we're up here in a remote location near Skyline College, and just glad
it's
to
lovely
be
out here today, yeah.
So why don't we get started on that Eastern Division?
Okay, so the first matchup we'll be discussing is the Milwaukee Bucks, 1st seed, versus the Orlando Magic, 8th seed. And this is actually a personal matchup. We actually know a few of the players on the team, had the opportunity to train with them, grow up with a few of them. So I guess we won't drop any names here, but it's personal to us. Nevertheless, I got to go with the Milwaukee Bucks here. I think it's going to be probably a 4-0 sweep. I just think the team's a lot deeper. The Magic, their guard rotation's okay. They got DJ Augustine. I like Gordon a lot. Vucevic has moments, though, in the postseason and past seasons he's really struggled. And I think Milwaukee's just kind of a powerhouse. It's going to be somewhat of a mismatch here. Your thoughts there, Sal?
Yeah, well, that Gordon kid, great kid. I've known him and his family for many years. I know you didn't mention him personally, and a couple other players, but yeah, I'm going to go with the Bucks on that one.
Do you think I should put in the Vegas odds to see if it's a wood bet for us, just in case we got any of you gamblers out there? Because then you can really take our advice to heart.
Yes.
Let me see what the odds are in Vegas. Of course, these will change on depending on the second matchups. So maybe forget the odds, because we're going to go all the way through to the finals. So just basically, very rarely do we miss bets. So whatever the odds are, if we say it, you're probably taking good odds.
Yeah.
I think that's really, unless you're obviously getting just terrible odds on something. But generally, if it's with the Captain Clout team here, pretty much you're good to go with whatever we say. So Sal, you had the Bucks too, pretty convincingly.
I really did. Yeah, I don't give the Orlando team a lot of hope or chance in this one. So I'm going to heavily favor the Bucks.
You're going to go Bucks in 4?
I will say Bucks in 5.
Bucks in 5.
I will give Orlando one home game.
Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
Bubble, anything could happen.
I will give them one bubble win.
Okay. Regardless, we think it's going to be a pretty convincing Bucks win. The next series is the Pacers and Miami Heat.
Ooh,
this is actually a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good one. Go ahead, Cal.
Yeah, I'll start us off. I think, I said in the off-season pod, for all you faithful listeners out there, Miami Heat had one of the best off-seasons in basketball on the professional scene. I love the Jimmy Butler addition. They got a lot of the young rookies that are great. Tyler Hero's great. Duncan Robinson came out of nowhere, one of the top three-point shooters in the league. And just a lot of high IQ, talented players on this team. I really like Kelly Olynyk's solid big with a lot of variety in his scoring options. And he's a great passer too. Just a really solid team. At the same time, Indiana's, they're a scrappy squad. They're not going to go down easy. They've proven that throughout the regular season, propelling themselves to, I believe, a 5th seed? Or 4th seed. They're actually the home team in this series. So, clearly they've had some success in the regular season, and that's primarily even without Victor Oladipo. So this is a deep team. TJ Warren's been great in the bubble. But for me, I got to go Heat in 6. I think the Heat's a great team, a lot of chemistry, a lot of attitude on that team. I love Dragic, too. Didn't mention him. Just a phenomenal team, great coaching. Spoelstra's been great. Really nothing to say negative about the Heat. Maybe they lack a true superstar, unless you call Butler a superstar. But I think it's going to be Heat in 6. Nice, toughly contested series, though.
Yeah, and folks, if you were listening to my guest appearance last summer, I've been a big fan of the Pacers over the years. I always loved that team. They bring their lunch pail crew that I really respect. They work hard. They rebound. They play great defense. They never give up. I love Oladipo. I love the spirit the Pacers have. I just don't think they have the horses to compete with this Miami Heat team, and I'm just as impressed. And I've become slowly, very year by year, and I don't know how you feel, Cal, but I've become more and more impressed with the coaching job the Heat does and the general manager's selection of players. And they are an up and coming team in my view. And I will also go.
Absolutely.
I will give them also. I will give them the same. I believe that it will be the Heat in six.
Yeah, you go with me on that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think one of the best run organizations, and you can tell from their offseason.
But I like both these teams.
They know what they're doing. But I agree with you. 2 great teams, but I think the Heat's just a little deeper, a little stronger at the top, and a little better coached.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So the next matchup would be Boston Celtics and Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, this is an easy one for me. I'll start off. I've not been impressed with the 76ers in the bubble. I think they've got a lot of injury problems. I don't give them much a chance. I'm going to say a sweep by those Boston Celtics.
A sweep?
Yes, I predict a sweep.
I would say that's bold, except it's really not. Ben Simmons went down with a season-ending injury. The team has shown very little chemistry. Horford and Embiid are not a great fit. Tobias Harris is also kind of a power forward. It's a poorly constructed team with all their money in the front court. And Ben Simmons went down, and they lost a lot of talent last year. They gave up Jimmy Butler. They lost, I guess, J.J. Redick, not much of a loss there. Maybe a net positive, honestly. But just throughout the roster, they lost more than they gained, and they've had just some bad trades in recent years. And it's sad that they had to go through 5 years of tanking to get here, and they're going to be a first-round exit here. And all the culmination of all that tanking has led them to this. So it's pretty dire times in Philadelphia if you're a basketball fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It's probably going to be a 4-0 sweep for me. I don't see it. I love the Boston team. More on them in a more competitive series. I'll get into how much I love the team. But this is pretty quick. Nothing really to say. Philadelphia is a train wreck. It's going to be a sweep 4-0.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next one.
All right, we got Toronto and Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, I'm a big fan here. I want to jump in and say I've been a big fan in the bubble, especially of this Toronto Raptor team. And I have also been impressed by Brooklyn showing a little more spunk without Kyrie Irving actually playing, I think, a better brand of basketball.
They certainly move the ball better.
I'm going to say Raptors in 6.
Raptors in 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 even, but
I'd
I'm
probably
going to go
lean
6.
5 myself. If I had to go final answer, I'd say Raptors in 5.
Okay.
I just think Siakam's too good. There is no answer to Siakam.
There is no.
You can't stop him. His toucher on the basket is phenomenal. He's a 6'11" frame with great wingspan, great athlete. He's just so fluid.
Yes.
Just what an up and coming talent.
Yes.
And meanwhile, the Toronto team is deep. I hate to admit it, but Van Vliet is the truth.
And I'm going to be. I've told you at dinner the other night that more to say about this Raptor team.
Yeah. I mean, they got solid bigs. I love, the whole vibe of the Toronto Raptors is just winning. They won the championship last year. They kept that same championship mentality, and they're going to bring it this postseason.
I believe that's correct.
Definitely a team to fear.
Yes.
But nothing against Brooklyn. I love Karis LeVert, Joe Harris. A lot of talent on that roster. Nice, spunky young squad. Really like what they're doing there. But I just think they're a little too young, a little too small, and Toronto's kind of, it's a tough matchup for them.
I agree.
But Brooklyn had a great season. It's nice when even without Kevin Durant and technically Kyrie Irving, that's what, $70 million in cap space, and you still make the playoffs and are a convincing, competitor every night. That's impressive. You got to respect that.
Absolutely.
But with that said, Kyrie Irving's awful. So it's kind of an addition by subtraction there. So
We've seen that a lot over the years in the NBA. Sometimes
Yeah.
you lose one of these so-called great players.
I mean, look what happened to Boston without him. They look like championship contenders, and last year they barely made the playoffs.
That's right.
But yeah,
Sometimes it's all about chemistry.
chemistry's huge, and Kyrie Irving is a chemistry killer. But moving on, we got the Lakers in Portland.
Lakers in Portland, or we finished
Well, that's
the
that's
East?
the end of the East. Yeah.
Okay, we finished the East.
We're gonna get on to the second. Well, should we do full through the East? And
No,
then
no, we can. I think we should do our
jump
first
back and
round.
forth. Yeah, I'd say we do the full first round. So let's go Lakers Portland.
Ooh, this is a tough one.
This is a tough one, surprisingly, for a 1-8 matchup.
Yeah.
What do you got there, Sal?
Oh man, I was gonna take a flyer and take the Trailblazers in 7, but I honestly can't see that happening. And I'm gonna say Lakers, and I'm gonna say Lakers in 6.
Lakers in 6.
Yes.
Oh man, I gotta give me one. Flesh out your point, because I really have a tough decision here. What I'm gonna say. So just make up your,
Well,
give a compelling reason. Then I gotta
I've just
think
been
of my final
okay.
answer.
My compelling reason on that is that the big factor to me is LeBron James, and LeBron's carried teams time and time again, and he will likely do that again this playoffs. And the reason why I say 6 is I will give Portland at least 2 wins because of the fact that they match up well, and it's been pointed out by other people, not by me, but the Lakers will have some difficulty with their outside covering on their defensive end, covering the outside shooters that Portland has. And they may even have some trouble. Portland does have some legitimate bigs. So I'm almost talking myself into saying Lakers in 7, but I'll say Lakers in 6 just because I like to win some side money with my good friend Cal, and I've got a lot of money that I've made in my business and can afford to lose on this bet. So I'll take a flyer and just pray that my bet will come true, and I will say Lakers in 6.
I gotta be
and
honest.
I realize that I could very well say Lakers in 7, and I could even very well say Portland in 7.
I'm the biggest fan.
That's why it's a struggle.
I'm the biggest fan of the Lakers. I love Caruso. I've always been a big LeBron fan, though I don't necessarily agree with some of his political takes that are a little unfounded in reality. But we're not going to get into politics on this pod. But I think many of you viewers, if you follow him on Instagram, there's been some offensive things said by LeBron. But on the court, you can't argue with his impact.
Yeah. He carries teams.
He carries teams. He's a freight train. You can't stop the guy. He's one of the most talented players all time, outstanding player, and really has good chemistry on teams.
Yeah. He makes every player better.
Yeah, he really does.
He takes up, if you have a player that's a 7 out of 10, he makes them an 8.5.
Yeah, exactly. I got to be honest. As much as I want to cheer for the Lakers here, I got to go Blazers in 7.
Okay.
I know.
I told you I understood that.
Yeah, I mean,
and we'll have
pre-bubble, maybe I would have said differently. Avery Bradley was actually a big piece for their defensive front at the guard position. He's a good outside shooter as well. They've had injuries to, they lost Rondo, who I'm not a big fan of, but he's certainly better than Dion Waiters. Basically, their additions have been an utter disappointment in the bubble. J.R. Smith has barely played. Dion Waiters has been awful. Their whole bench unit, I think, is going to get annihilated by the Blazers, who actually have a decent bench themselves. I don't see the depth of the Lakers. I think you got LeBron, Anthony Davis. I question the dog in him. LeBron's incredible, but who's your third guy? Is it Kuzma? I don't trust him. He doesn't play defense, and he's a streaky shooter at best.
Right.
Caruso isn't a great scorer, though he plays well in transition, has high IQ. He's not. I wouldn't say he's an outstanding scorer.
No. He's streaky.
He's streaky, and
that doesn't help you in the playoffs too much.
Yeah, exactly. And shooting-wise, I'm not really confident in his three-point shot at the guard position. So.
And he doesn't. I watched him in the bubble, and he doesn't appear to play consistent defense.
No, his defense isn't great. His lateral quickness isn't great.
Yeah.
I know he's been dealing with a few injuries, but he just hasn't really shown out in the bubble. I don't have a lot of confidence in their guards going in. So I guess they're going to be relying on Quinn Cook as their guy.
Yeah.
And that's a tough sell when you're playing, C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard on the perimeter. and who's going to be guarding those guys as they're just burying threes. Meanwhile, Nurkic is better than any big on the Lakers, maybe even Anthony Davis himself. And you got, Zach Collins, Hassan Whiteside. It's a dangerous, dangerous team, and a nightmare matchup for the Lakers. I love LeBron. I think he'll do his best, but I got to say Portland in 7, maybe even Portland in 6, but I'll say Portland in 7 because I think the league doesn't want to see the Lakers lose.
No,
and then the refs are going to try to give them every shot they can.
Yes.
But I think Portland's going to win out in 7.
Could very well
Kills
be.
me to say it, but you can't argue with the facts.
No, you certainly can't.
Okay. So we got Rockets Thunder
Ooh.
at the 4-5 matchup.
Now the Rockets appear to be losing Kevin, right?
Russell Westbrook.
I'm sorry, Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
That's right. For how long? We don't know at this point.
Unknown. He hurt his quad a bit. He might play in limited fashion.
Does that help the Rockets or hurt the Rockets?
That's a good question because it's going to impact my take. I don't know. I'm such an
My
anti-Westbrook.
apologies to the Westbrook fans out there.
But without Westbrook, this could be a dangerous team. I never thought I'd say that. But I think it's going to be quite ironic that people say that, it was a good trade that the Rockets made when, in fact, the Thunder are probably the more competitive team. And that's not even including the fact that they got 7 picks in the upcoming 4 years out of that whole trade. And they actually became the more dangerous team this season, too. So they have the much brighter future, and they're the more dangerous team this season. I'm going to say Thunder in 6. I really like, Steven Adams. Rockets don't have a big to contain him. I think they're going to own the glass. Chris Paul's a nice veteran presence, really high IQ. Gallinari is almost unstoppable. I don't see Rockets having much of a chance in this series.
Yeah, I was going to say Thunder in 6.
Yeah, I have Thunder in 6. Just because I'll give the refs credit for giving Harden one 50-point game where he gets a bunch of free throws.
Absolutely.
But I got Thunder in 6. I think they're deeper, stronger, and I think Harden's a fake superstar. So, and Westbrook is as well. So, love PJ Tucker, and I like Austin Rivers and a couple of their bench pieces. But I think it's going to be Thunder in 6. You got Thunder 6 too, Seth?
I do.
Yeah. Okay, we're in agreement there. So far we've agreed on everything except for the Lakers and Blazers. But let's go with Denver and the Jazz.
Oh, Denver and the Jazz. Another great series.
Yeah, this is a good one. Very similar teams in the way they play, really.
Absolutely.
Defensive stalwarts and nice deep teams with good chemistry. Good ball movement on both teams.
Last year I told you I'm a big fan of that Jokic fella.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of this Michael Porter Jr., so I'm going to go out my limb on this. I'm saying Denver in 7. I'm thinking this is a 7-game
I think it
series
probably
in the
does go
bubble.
7.
And you could probably twist my arm and say Utah in 7, but I'm going to go Denver in 7.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go Denver in 7. I just think bigs are such a underrated asset in this league. If you have a big like Jokic that can really...
That, to me, that's the edge right there.
Yeah, it's just Jokic is better than Gobert.
Yeah.
Gobert's good. He's a good, solid defensive player, but he doesn't have the offensive game of Jokic, and I think that'll be the difference when it comes tight, fourth quarter. You really need those points down in the paint. I think Jokic is your guy. I think he's a little stronger than Gobert, and then that,
It's actually cold up here.
It is a little cold
We're
up
up here in the beautiful skyline area just above the Pacific Ocean, and we left 105 degrees. And folks, it's cold up here now.
We're on a cliff edge overlooking the ocean up here, but it's a little chilly.
I brought my wife of some 40-odd years up here to enjoy the coastline.
Well, I appreciate you flying us out here. It's definitely a beautiful view up here.
Yeah.
It's a little chilly and the wind's coming in, but it's nice feeling that ocean breeze, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Michael Porter Jr. is awesome. He's really broken out in his rookie year. Is it his sophomore year? It might be his sophomore year, but his first healthy year. I think it's his first playing year. Yeah, Denver team's really good. I like Utah a bunch. Joe Ingles is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Donovan Mitchell fan.
I've liked Donovan Mitchell.
He's a bit of a chucker for me, but he's got talent, no doubt about that.
And he plays with a lot of heart.
He does. They're a good team, but I just think they lost too much losing Bogdanovich and Hayward over the past couple of years. I don't see them making a deep playoff run. I think it's Denver for me. Denver in 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
I agree with you on that. Now we got Clippers, Mavericks. I think this is actually not that competitive of a series.
No.
I think Clippers should be able to blow them out. Maybe 5 games, I guess, if Doncic really heats up in a game. But I just think Kristaps hasn't looked fully healthy to me all season. He's still not quite up to speed on the pick and rolls. He's getting eaten alive. I think it should be pretty easy work. Doncic is really talented, but it's kind of a one-man army against Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, 2 of the premier players in this league. And I like Zubac a lot. I think he's actually better than KP in some ways.
Yes.
Great roller to the basket, more mobile, plays pretty good defense himself. So Kristaps can spread the floor a bit, but that's not going to be enough when you got a team that long and talented against you. And I think it should be probably, I'm looking at Clippers in 5.
I had the same thoughts on this series, and I'm a huge Clipper. I've been impressed with this Clippers team, and they don't even have my player, Sweet Lou, Chicken Wings Lou.
Yeah, I think he
missing,
should be coming back.
but he'll be coming back. I know, but in the bubble they've had to play without him, and they've still looked strong.
Yeah,
and I'm a huge Kawhi Leonard fan.
Yeah, he's very talented.
I wish he'd smile once in a while, but
that's not his game. He's a robot.
I know. He's like a Megatron or something out there.
Yeah, he's
so so I'm going to give the Clippers a big edge on this one, and 5. They'll have that series in 5.
I think that's probably fair to me. Okay, let's move on to the second round series. So if you guys are gamblers out there, feel free to take those bets to the bank. Yes. I'd say I'm about 90% confident in each one. Should make a pretty good profit out there, no matter what the odds are. Well, let's go to second rounders. So we got Milwaukee versus the Heat for both of us.
Okay.
You go first.
I'm gonna pick the Heat.
Really?
I've just not been impressed with the Bucks team in the bubble. I don't think they're playing well together. I just haven't seen a lot, and I see the Heat playing really great basketball. So I'm going to say the Heat in 7, a 7-game series, and I'm going to give the edge to the Heat. This is a hot take from Sal.
That is a hot take. I know the odds makers in Vegas are going to favor the Bucks. But I honestly, Sal, not only have you convinced me, but I've been thinking this myself. This is closer than you'd think. I might be joining you on this one. What'd you say, Heat in 6? Heat in 7? Heat in 7?
7-game series.
That's a really hot take, but I might join you. I haven't loved Antetokounmpo in the playoffs.
No, I haven't either.
He's a little fresher this year, so that's why he's a little more dangerous. But he doesn't have much post game, and in the playoffs, you got to have post game as a premier player. But he's not a great isolation scorer. He's more of a transition scorer, which isn't as
crazy thing for me is I've always liked the Bucks. I'm a Bucks fan, but I just don't see. I'm just more impressed with Miami right now.
I'm going to go with Heat. I think Dragic.
You're agreeing with
they're
Sal.
too deep.
Yeah. Dragic has been awesome.
Duncan Robinson said they're just too dangerous. Tyler Hero, they just can light it up. And I love Jimmy Butler's perimeter defense. I think I got to go the Heat here. It's definitely going to be a competitive series. Yes. One of the best ones on television. I think.
I'm looking forward to that
Definitely
series.
Looking forward to it.
Okay.
I got Heat in 7 too.
Okay.
I like Milwaukee, deep team, and Brook Lopez is incredible. That's the one X factor that
Brook
could swing
Lopez
the
is
series.
a great player.
But I just don't know that they're going to have enough on the perimeter to stop.
I'll see a sweet move or a sweet shot by a big guy, and I'll ask either you or Cal or Jay. I say, who shot that? I've been impressed, and so my eyes are failing me a little bit at my age. And they'll say, oh, that was Brook Lopez. Sure enough, it's always Brook Lopez.
I don't know. They got Robin. It's going to be such a tight series.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could go either way.
It could go either way, just because the Lopez brothers are so dangerous too.
Yes.
If they didn't have the Lopez brothers, it'd be an easy Heat pick. But as is. Dragic is good. Dragic is really good.
And you got to figure, I'm going to give a little edge on Miami team because they're playing in their home state, so it's almost like playing in their backyard.
I guess they're used to the weather and the humidity.
Right.
You can tell they've
there's a little edge for them.
Okay, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'll go with you on this Heat in 7. That's a hot take. Probably wouldn't bet that one, guys, if you're gamblers.
Yeah, that one's a little bit of...
Maybe if you get great odds, because it's probably a 50-50 series. But I'd take Heat in 7. I'd go with you on that one, Sal. Okay. So we got Boston versus the Toronto Raptors.
We're probably going to have our differences.
I think we'll have our differences here.
I'm a huge fan of the Raptors. I don't know if I've shared with the audience, my beautiful wife is a Canadian citizen, and she's always been a huge Toronto Blue Jays fan along with her mother. And so I'm going to support the Raptors team. And not only am I doing it because of the fondness I have for this wife of mine.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the connection. Please try again in a moment.
Okay. Sorry, that was my secretary. I've got some clients in Asia where the market's just starting up now. It's Sunday. I would imagine it's Monday around 9 a.m. in Tokyo. So, yes, so I'm going to go with a very strong Raptors team. I'm very impressed with that Celtics team, and I know Cal's a huge Celtics fan, but I am going to go, and this is another one of my crazy picks, but I'm going to say Raptors in 7. It's going to be a very competitive series. Both two teams I've been very impressed with all during the bubble, and I'm really glad that Hayward's back for Boston. I've seen some great plays by him. So, but I believe that the Raptors have that dog in them that Cal talked about, that Anthony Davis lacks. I think every player on that Raptor team has dog in them.
They really do.
So
Everyone.
it's going to be a very hard-fought series. I will not cry in my beer if Boston wins, but I'm going to pick the Raptors in 7.
Raptors in 7, huh?
Yes.
A lot of good series this playoffs. It's going to be an
Yes.
exciting one.
Going to be some good playoffs.
But,
I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely am too. But I got Boston here. I think Hayward's looked actually pretty healthy coming into the bubble. He had a couple of really great dunks. I think that's going to be your X factor. If it wasn't for healthy Hayward, I would pick Toronto here. But healthy Hayward's a game changer for that team. You know, they signed him to a max deal with the expectations of him playing like he's been playing lately, and they've looked like a whole revitalized team. It's just been awesome to watch. I'm so happy for him. Having dealt with an injury myself, it gives me hope that I can return to form. He's not.
We know what you've come back from.
Yeah, he's not quite 100% Utah Hayward, where he was a top 3 player in the league, but I think he's shown himself out as maybe a top 10 player, and that should be good enough with the depth on their team. They got great wings. They got Jaylen Brown, Tatum's pretty good, and they got Marcus Smart I like a lot. Kemba's not great. Won't be that much in the playoffs, but he's definitely an upgrade over Kyrie Irving. I just love this Boston team. I really like Tice. They don't have a lot of size. That's their one weakness. But Toronto, Marcus Hall's not a great scoring threat. Ibaka's not either. I don't think it should be too much of a problem for him. I think Milwaukee would be a tougher matchup for him. They got lucky here that they got to play Toronto. I think it's a better matchup for them.
Yeah.
And for us, I think the Heat's actually going to take out the Bucks, so that's going to feed into the next round. But I got Boston here, and probably, I'd say Boston in 6.
Oh wow, you really?
I think they're just a dangerous
You're very
team.
bullish on this Boston team.
I love Boston. I think I like that Toronto team, as I mentioned in the prior round discussion, but I think the wings are just too strong on Boston. I don't think they're going to have an answer for them. Even though I love Siakam and OG Anunoby is pretty good defensively, but it's just too much depth on the outside.
Yeah, I understand that.
And I don't think Toronto can exploit them on the inside where their weakness is.
Yeah.
So that's my take there. Moving over to the West, we got. I have the Blazers and the Thunder. I'm gonna actually, I guess I got it. You got to take Portland here. They've just been on a tear. I like the Thunder team a lot of talent, but it's just the 2 guards of Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum is a lot to handle. If you add in the fact that Nurkic is healthy here, and you got Zach Collins, and a lot of good bigs on that team. Whiteside's pretty good. Just a deep team, a lot of talent. Carmelo has actually fit in surprisingly well, even though I don't think he's very good. But he's a player that can make some shots. I love the Thunder team too. I think it's going to be a tightly contested series. Probably go 6 games Portland.
Okay. And I'm going to have, as you know, I did not pick the Blazers. I picked the Lakers. So my series would have Lakers versus the Thunder. And here's a team. I believe the Lakers do match up pretty well
I agree.
against the Thunder, and I'm going to say Lakers and Lakers in 6.
Yeah, it seems fair if that happened. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah.
Lakers have pretty good bigs themselves.
Yes. So they'll match up well.
They'll match up well.
And then you have the LeBron factor.
Yeah, the LeBron factor is huge there.
I'm going to give
the Lakers' weakness is 3-point shooting, and that's the Portland team is a nightmare matchup.
Yes, correct.
So, we'll see. I think that's a smart take. You guys could bet that if it happens. Obviously, the Lakers are going to take out the Thunder. But the next one would be we both have Denver and the Clippers.
Oh, okay. Well, let me get started. As I said, this is the team, my team that I've secondly been most impressed with in the bubble, and I'm going to say Clippers will take this, and they will take this in 6 games, which was my hot take.
Is that hot?
I don't know. It's a medium take.
That's a lukewarm take.
It's a lukewarm take.
That's lukewarm. Yeah, I think the Clippers will probably take this in probably 6 games, maybe even 5 for me. Yeah, 6. We'll give them 6. I think Denver's a pretty good team.
Yeah, Denver's scrappy.
They're scrappy. They'll fight. But
They
I think
will fight.
it's tough. Kawhi and Paul George on the same team is a tough recipe to plan for. game plan for
I
him.
meant to
defensively.
comment on this. I've been really impressed with Paul George's play in the bubble.
He's been incredible all season.
He has really shown the talent he has.
Yeah,
He's a very talented player.
so silky smooth.
He is, and he has a beautiful shot,
He does.
and he has beautiful move to the basket.
And a nice pair of shoes, PG4s, for those of you out there sneakerheads. Nice cloud-like feel. Can't beat it.
Yeah, so we're going to give the edge to the Clippers in this series.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Okay, we're ready to move into
We got the
semi-
Eastern and Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
So let's go with the Eastern Conference Finals for both of us here. Actually, it's going to be the Heat versus. Actually, no, because you have Toronto.
Toronto.
So I got Heat and Celtics. This will be a great series. Although I think it's actually going to be kind of a mismatch here. I think Celtics just have too
Yeah,
much
it's all
talent.
about the matchups.
You know, the Celtics have too much talent on the
yeah.
perimeter there.
I love the Heat team
I love
too,
the Heat
but I
team.
don't see their matchups don't favor them in this.
No,
in
I
this
think
one.
Marcus Smart is a great defensive player.
Right.
He's a great matchup for Dragic. And then, Jimmy Butler can handle one of the wings, but who's getting the other two? In Hayward and, Jaylen Brown or Tatum. That's,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, Duncan Robinson isn't exactly a defensive stopper. Tyler Hero's okay on defense, but I think it's going to be too much firepower on the
Too much
perimeter.
Celtic team.
And I love that Heat team. They had a great run this year, but I think they come out in the Eastern Conference Finals and they flame out against the Celtics.
Yeah,
and
I
I go
believe you're right.
Celtics in 5.
Okay, and I have the Raptors. I have the Raptors with the Heat, and I love both of these teams. But I'm going to stick with my pick on the Raptors. Like I said, been very impressed with them all season. I just love the dog. I love Van Fleet. All these guys. Siakam. Just down the line, they play hard. They never give up. And I love the coach too. The coach that came in from the G League.
What's his name?
Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse, good
Yeah,
guy.
good coach. Seems to really have the respect of his players, and he has their ear. And they never give up. And when they lost Kawhi, who was one of my favorite players, they have not
They didn't
hardly
take a
lost
step back.
a
You
beat.
got to give them credit for
How
that.
many teams do that? Very few.
Lose the top 5.
You saw
player.
what happened to my Warriors when they lost Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that was more
that was the easiest money we could have made in the. Except I'm sure Vegas didn't pay those odds, but boy,
Yeah, the
what an
over-under, I
easy
think, was
money.
at 48.
Yeah,
like
what
10
an easy
games.
money in
Easiest money you could
1920
ever
to make right now. About the easiest gambling bet you could have laid down.
That's so true.
So
if
anyway,
you guys
yeah.
listen to the off-season pod, you're probably all
Yeah,
millionaires.
you might want to listen to that. But I'm going to go Raptors to take that. So I have Raptors winning the East, and you'll have the Celtics.
I got the Celtics.
Yeah.
Although I think the Raptors have a chance at it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't blow my mind at all.
Yeah.
Would you have it in Raptors in 7? You said.
I have Raptors in 7. It'll be a very hard-fought series because I'm very respectful of the Miami dog too, and they play well and well coached and well managed.
and they're actually a pretty good matchup against Toronto too. So yeah, I think that's probably fair. Raptors in 7 if that happened. So over in the West, at this point I would have Blazers and the Clippers. This would be a good series. I think I'd lean slightly to the Clippers here. I'd probably go Clippers in 7, just because Paul George and Kawhi are just too dangerous.
Right.
I think the defense out on the perimeter. They're both great shot makers, and it's kind of a mismatch for Portland because the greatest weakness they have is their perimeter size isn't great. And both Kawhi and Paul George play on the perimeter. They're both big, strong guys with great jumpers, and who can actually take it inside as well. And add into that, Zubac is a good inside presence, and I just think it's probably going to be too much for the Blazers to handle. Although I like Nurkic and their general composition of their team, I think Clippers in 7 probably here for me. So Sal, you have Lakers and Clippers, right? Sal,
I'm sorry?
you got Lakers and Clippers in yours?
I do have Lakers and Clippers, and I see this as another hard-fought battle because these two teams have played each other a lot. They know each other's strengths and weaknesses. They're in the same, they've played each other many times in the past. And the Lakers seem to have the edge during the regular season. I seem to have the momentum. And then when the Lakers got into the bubble, and as you mentioned, losing Avery Bradley hurt them in terms of their being able to play on the outside perimeter. So I have selected the Clippers as my favorites. But I will give LeBron at least 2 games. I'm going to say, I will say Clippers in 7. just
Clippers
because of
in 7.
LeBron, because he plays so hard and he's so competitive.
Yeah.
I don't think they can close him out in 6. I would lean to 6 Clippers, but I'm going to say
Okay.
Clippers over Lakers in 7.
I think if that went 7, I'd take the Lakers. I don't think
Really?
LeBron's losing a game
Okay.
7.
Okay.
But with that said, I'll go with you.
Good point. Good point. I should think that
I
over,
think
but
if-
I'm going to say
If the Clippers win, I think it'd be in 6, but doesn't matter because it wasn't in my bracket. But okay, you said Clippers in 7.
Yes.
So in the finals, I have the Clippers versus the Boston Celtics.
And I have Clippers and Toronto Raptors.
And this is kind of going with the theme of my general prediction. I got Boston Celtics as your dark horse 2020 champions.
That's a hot take.
That is a hot take.
And I have I told Cal I said I have a hot take that the Raptors might win the whole thing, and he said that's not much of a hot take, Sal. So I respect all of you fans out there who say, well, Sal, you're a front runner. You're joining the parade. You're getting run out in front of the parade. But I'm going to say Raptors in 7, very
Over the
fought
Clippers.
over the Clippers in a very hard fought NBA championship that's going to break ratings because all of us fans who have had nothing to really get excited about are going to be watching this series in droves because it's the only thing I must say I've been watching that Donovan series and I'm in season 4 back in Maui. I was so excited about the series. I flew Cal and Jay out we had a Saturday night viewing when we were worried
Of Ray Donovan?
Ray Donovan. We wanted to make sure Mick was going to get out of jail, and he successfully. I don't want to give too much away, but
I love that you put us onto that show.
yeah,
Phenomenal show.
he's out of jail right now.
For you viewers out there, go check it out.
It's got the typical HBO nudity, some of that they get a little carried away with that, but the rest of the story is quite compelling.
Very compelling. Phenomenal show. Really well written, well produced, well directed.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things on television,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
7 seasons too, so
Yeah.
a lot to get through.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. So it's going to be a great series. A lot of fan interest. A lot of even casual fans will tune in.
You're talking about basketball now, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about NBA. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be a
the
great
finals
series.
are going to be great.
And I've been really impressed with the whole bubble
Experience.
intensity.
Yeah.
Was just fantastic. I mean,
It's such
honestly,
an upgrade over the regular
I
season.
really had thought that that NBA was ruining its product in the regular season.
Yeah.
I was not impressed by they were pretty much no one was contesting a layup.
They
Nobody
were
was-
mailing it in.
Everybody was mailing it in. I think they couldn't wait to get back on the plane, and I don't blame them. I
The
think
travel
about that
schedule's
life.
brutal.
I think I probably would say, let the guy score. I just want to get back to the plane and get some sleep.
Yeah,
and
but
I understand it.
I've been so pleasantly surprised at the quality of the gameplay, even in the regular season of the bubble,
Yeah.
because half these teams don't even have anything to play for. I mean, there's no home court advantage. There's nothing really proceeding, but you can just tell the pride they take out there.
Yeah.
And they're just playing so hard. I think without the fans, it's really just you and the basketball, so it's really been a great improvement in the quality of the product. It's going to be tough to do in the future, obviously, because you've got to have fans to make the money. But I think just something about not having to travel,
I think
all that
that, and
testosterone, because
you mentioned there's just a bunch of 10 guys in a room with a lot of raging testosterone.
there's no girls in the bubble.
no
so
girls to wink at or anything, and it's all about the basketball right now.
It's been a battle. It's reminiscent of what you see at the local 24-hour fitness. It's awesome. It's just with the 7-foot players, so it's just been such a
I've joined
pleasant
Cal and Jay
surprise.
in some of that. Cal was a professional player, has played professionally.
That's true.
And I've joined him and his good associate Jay, and some of these men's leagues and men's
We've had you out a
recreational.
few times, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just been fantastic, and we really appreciate that mano a mano aspect, and it's just great for men to be out there and do a little gladiator on Saturday morning. It's always
it's great to watch.
quite entertaining.
Yeah, so I think
And
these playoffs are going
we
to be
have
even.
enjoyed that in the bubble.
The playoffs are going to be just as good, I think,
Yeah.
in terms of the intensity. It's been awesome.
And I've also been impressed with the sportsmanship. There isn't a lot of chippy fouls. They're just playing hard.
Yeah, and there's no weak fouls either for
Yeah.
the refs. It's almost like they're repping
Right,
real
and the
basketball.
refs seem to respect. Oh, you guys are really playing real basketball.
Yeah,
I guess we'll ref a real game.
It's been pretty
crazy.
incredible. Yeah.
Harden's not getting the ticky-tack fouls called for and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just been fantastic. I hope the NBA really pays attention to this. I'm talking
There's
to
a
you,
lot you could
Commissioner.
take away, yeah.
I'm hoping you pay attention to what this is, and maybe you can ease the travel, some of the traveling regimen for these players so they can play this type of basketball.
I
It's
think
so much more enjoyable for the
If
fans.
you cut out maybe 18 to 20 games of the regular
Yeah.
season, you could have a similar product to this throughout the whole course of the season. And I think you'd end up making more money in the long run because the viewership, just the popularity of the product,
Yeah.
it'd be similar to an NFL
Because these are
season.
great athletes, and I wondered if they really truly were great athletes. Now I realize when I watch them in the bubble, they really are.
Yeah, absolutely. I never got to mention though. I'm going to take Boston in 6 over the Clippers for the. You know how high I'm on Boston. Love Clippers as well, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and take Boston in 6. I just think the wing depth is such a huge asset, and they can't be punished because Zubac is the main guy, and he's not going to be able to punish the inside defensive rim protection of the Celtics. And Paul George and Kawhi Leonard aren't the greatest at driving to the basket. They're more jump shooting players. So I think the main weakness of the Celtics is rim protection, and they got a favorable run through the playoffs. And I think they're going to have a chance where it's not going to get exploited here. So I got Celtics in 6 there.
Well, I appreciate that call on that. I've been a big fan of that Hayward fella for many years.
He's looked awesome.
And he's looking really good this year, and in the bubble he's looked especially strong. So I would not be completely surprised if the Celtics, your dark horse, are our 2020 NBA champions.
Yeah, so if you guys take those predictions to the bank, I know me and Sal disagreed on a few of them, though it was mainly because like early ones, it would affect later series. I actually agree with a lot of Sal's takes. It's maybe 1 or 2 we disagree on. If you guys take those general bets to the bank, you guys could be millionaires like Sal here in this beautiful estate out in
Folks, none of my money was made honestly. I didn't make it at the tables. I gamble recreationally, and I recommend all of our fans to gamble recreationally. My wife and her family have been very good to me over the years and give me a lot of opportunity to enjoy gambling. Their family enjoyed gambling but never used it, never abused it, and I recommend if you're going to bet what you can afford to lose. I always tell Cal and Jay that when they make investments with me. We never know it's a sure thing, but I say if you can afford to lose it, Cal or Jay, let's go ahead and make this project work.
Let it ride, baby. So yeah, that's our takes. Hopefully it helps you guys out. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think, if you disagree with any of them. Thanks for being here in Skyline today with Sal. Thanks so much for flying us out.
Mahalo.
Yeah, thanks for being our number
I
one
hope to get you
sponsor.
boys out. Right now we're doing this quarantine thing. I hate to put you up. I have a beautiful, as you know, I've got the cabana house there by the pool that you boys could stay in the 14-day quarantine.
We might take you up on that.
So if this
finances are a little tight, we
Yes.
haven't had a lot of subscriber growth lately. So if you guys know your friends, make sure you recommend the podcast to them. Because this is mainly our main source of income right now. Me and Jay are getting by on, so we're kind of scraping by at this point. It's been a slower time for the pod. But,
okay.
Thanks so much, Sal, for being on today.
Oh, it's just my pleasure.
And thanks.
And we can't wait for Cal for Jay to join us again.
Yeah.
Really miss his insights.
Right.
And we might have another one. Well, as we finish the first series, we should get Jay in.
On his takes on the first round.
Yeah,
we'll do that maybe next Sunday.
Yes.
So we'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and thanks again.
Peace out, everybody. This is Sal and Cal
That's right. All right, peace.
saying goodbye.